original Evil Within was something of a flawed masterpiece when it was originally released all the way back in 2014, a time when Resident Evil really didn't know what it wanted to be, and the Evil Within tried to bridge the gap. And while it was a fun game that had plenty of tension, its presentation was awful and the story was disappointing. But the game was popular enough, so after 3 years, a sequel is finally here, and even in a post-Resident Evil 7 world, there's still a place for the Evil Within 2 story. The improvements come straight away with the story. The original game was rather vague with its story and didn't really feel complete. But thankfully, the Evil Within 2 builds a much better story here. The main character, Sebastian Castellanos, is back, but he's a drunken mess, due to the events of the previous game and the death of his daughter. But out of nowhere, the shadowy organisation who caused all the trouble in the first game, Morbius, gives him the chance to set things right and rescue his daughter from the frightening and twisted world of Union. And with that, the story feels much more personal and well thought out here, with more focus on Sebastian's struggle with losing his family. The overall story is a strong one that has motive and purpose that will certainly make you strive to continue the game. The characters have also seen an improvement alongside the story, as the characters here are interesting and thankfully better written than the original, as Sebastian, who was rather famously boring and gruff in the original, is now really likeable here. Other highlights include Stefano, a photographer with a rather unique way of making art. Gameplay-wise, the game sees a rather big shake-up to the rather linear original, with the inclusion of a semi-open world of the game's town, Union. Union itself is broken up into a few big open areas that you're able to explore during and between missions, and surprisingly, it's very enjoyable to explore with plenty of secrets and bonus missions to complete. If there is one fault with this open world design, is that encounters with many of the game's horrible but brilliantly designed enemies that roam the town aren't really that scary, as you can just run away and hide. Thankfully, it's not all just open world gameplay, and the game does switch up the level design frequently, as it does go from a more linear type levels for some missions, and these can lead to some fun encounters with enemies in some claustrophobic conditions, with levels focusing on Sebastian's psychological state. The claustrophobic conditions continue with the game's boss battles. There is a little too few bosses for my liking, but those that are here are really well designed and are fun to fight. One of my favourites has to be against Father Theodore, which sees Sebastian going up against several bosses from the first game, which is a nice touch for players who played the original. The combat is also much tighter in this game. As with the original, you can go through the game either with stealth or with all guns blazing, but with the lack of ammo, you should probably go through the game quietly as you can. Stealth feels much better now, as Sebastian can actually hide behind cover and assess the area before going into combat. You can also stealth kill enemies from corners and from behind, and it all works really well, and it's a great way to conserve ammo. But if you do want to go in all guns blazing, then that's also improved from the original, as weapons feel much more punchier this time. Sebastian has loads of weapons at hand, like handguns, assault rifles, shotguns, and the return of the crossbow that has multiple variants of ammo, like an explosive bolt or a frozen bolt. But as I said before, the ammo in this game is few and far between, so in the mood of survival, the game allows for Sebastian to pick up various resources like gunpowder and herbs and the like throughout the game, and you can put them to good use by making ammo and other useful supplies. This is a great way of resource management that allows you to choose what you want ammo for instead of getting ammo for weapons you haven't got or want. The game also has a decent amount of upgrades available on offer. Each and every gun on offer can be upgraded with weapon parts that are scattered around the game, and these upgrades can affect damage or clip size. It isn't just guns that can be upgraded, as Sebastian can also be upgraded himself with new abilities and better stats. You can activate these upgrades with green gel, which is found on defeated enemies. Anyway, on to the game's length now, and the game can take you anywhere from 15 to 20 hours to complete, depending on if you rush it or take your time and explore the levels, complete the side missions and collect the collectibles. Once you complete the game, you also unlock New Game Plus mode and a much harder difficulty mode that has limited saves and no upgrades. So there is a decent amount available when you complete the game, if you want to replay the game. The original game wasn't the prettiest game around, as it did suffer from some horrendous frame rate drops and drab textures. Thankfully, The Evil Within 2 is a huge step up with a much more polished experience. The game looks great with some brilliant looking areas and some good uses of the lighting. The frame rate now runs at a near solid 30 FPS on the standard PS4, and on PS4 Pro the game runs at an unlocked frame rate with loads of texture improvements to make it one of the best pro-enhanced games about. Conclusion time now, and The Evil Within 2 is a welcome surprise and a much better experience than the original game. Featuring a sizable semi-open world filled with plenty of secrets and things to do, its story is also much better and easier to follow this time around, and while it may not be as scary as the original, it's still a treat for horror fans, especially if you weren't keen on Resident Evil 7's slow pace. The Evil Within 2 gets an 8.5 out of 10 with the title of great. Thank you for watching my review, like, rate and subscribe, and until next time, happy gaming, bye!